Hey guys, what's going on? It's Brandon. So this is going to be a pretty power-packed video right here. We're going to talk about why we know that the C8 malfunctioned on the Laguna Seca kid. There's been a lot of ignorant people. There's basically three classes of people. There's the people who don't believe that there's a problem because they're completely ignorant, okay, and they don't drive their cars fast enough to ever notice that the car takes the brakes away. Pretty much every person in the Vet Titans group knows that the car takes the brakes away. That's one of the main reasons why people join. They're like, what the fuck's going on with this car? It takes my brakes away. So there's the people who know it's a problem. There's the people who don't believe there's a problem. And then there's the GM puppet people who may or may not know there's a problem. They kind of believe there's a problem, but they go out of their way to lie and say that there's not a problem. They go on the offense big time. And so those people have been attacking me big time over the last, 24, 48 hours in the comments saying that I'm full of shit, all this stuff. So I'm going to run through a few things here. I made a pretty potent post yesterday. We put up, first thing we did was we put up this crash in California to remind you guys all back in 2019. The C8 went left to center. This is a GM vehicle. There was a test vehicle, and that's a C8 that went left to center coming down the mountain. And it pushed and almost knocked a civilian vehicle off the road. It's a GM captured test fleet vehicle driven by GM engineers. And the car locked its rear ediff and went left to center and pushed these cars almost off the road.
Jesus, that's crazy.
He got really lucky right there in that SUV. If the C8 would have been like one moment sooner of going left to center, that SUV probably would have flipped off the mountain and those people could have been killed. But anyway. So, okay, so that's that. Then I want to show you another video here. There's a C8 coming into a turn hot, and you'll see it get into the wall. But before it gets into the wall, you'll see it do a little wiggle wiggle. But when it does a little wiggle wiggle, a normal car would let you continue to step out, which is what the guy was hoping it would do. But instead it wiggles back to straight, and that's the ediff locking up. So I'll show you here again. Wiggle wiggle. Boom. Ediff locked. Front tires unhooked, took away the brakes. And it's not even that the front tire is necessarily unhooked. The car takes away the brakes. So now let's get into the real important stuff. And this is just a small taste of what we have. And the first thing I want to tell you guys about the Laguna Seca kid is he did not clip the end of the video. The GM PDR system does that when you get into a wreck. Tell me that's not a coincidence. General Motors doesn't want you to have the last few seconds of as your car runs into things on PDR, because the PDR actually shows the ediff program. And I think the GM was smart enough to say, if the airbags go off and the car gets into a serious wreck, let's have it where it just doesn't save the last few seconds of footage. So don't give that kid a hard time, guys. That kid is having, like, he says he was having PTSD. I was like, oh, he's being a little bit dramatic. No, guys, he's had a really bad feeling. And quite frankly, the evidence that he has, I think he could get killed, because this is big enough stuff to, like, tank General Motors stock. When you figure how many powerful people are on Wall Street invested hoping General Motors stock flies when this happens. So what I've done is, these are kind of hard to see, but the ones that don't have a banner, which you'll see what I mean in a second, are the ones of the wreck as he approached. So he got on the brakes. He's basically at full brakes. Okay, he's one bar below full brakes, and that's because he noticed that the car wasn't giving him full brakes, so he wasn't giving it full brakes. He was trying to, like, you'll see what I mean in a second. One bar below full brakes, you should be getting like 0.8, 0.9 lateral G, and instead he's only getting 0.5 and 0.4. And this thing is a memory-based circle, meaning that it illuminates in the upward direction if you've ever once gone above 0.4 or 0.5 G yet, and so far the car hadn't done it. So the car had already decided at this point, when he was still going up the hill, that it was not giving him full brakes. That's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people are like, oh, he crested the hill too fast. He hit his brakes before the hill. Okay, so let's continue here. So the most brakes he gets up to is like you can see he's still at 107 miles per hour right as he's closing in on this white thick line right here. We're going to use that as a reference point. See, 106. See, he covered a lot of ground and didn't decelerate even a mile per hour, basically. Okay? Now, meanwhile, this is the day before, or this is the lap before, I should say. So any of them that have the banner is the lap before. You guys haven't seen this footage yet. I have the whole PDR file, by the way, General Motors, so killing the kid isn't going to do you any good. I'm just being blunt. The kid's got a really bad feeling. Okay. So anyway, here you can see he's pulling 0.9 lateral G. And you see the car went right up. And see how he's not even giving it that much braking. So he's pulling 0.9 lateral G. He's getting 1.3 lateral G. This is all while in the same exact spot. So he dropped from 106 to 100 in the blink of an eye. 102 lateral G, stopping. Okay, so anyhow. And then before he's even up over the hill, he's down to 95. So there you can see he's pulling 1.4 lateral G coming up the hill. And just to remind you, let's go back up here and look at what happened. Here he's doing the same thing, guys. Same brake pressure, if not even more. And he's only pulling 0.4 lateral G. As he approaches this thing, he's still running 107. Whereas down here, the car was able to drop his speed to 100. So down here, he was able to knock off 7 miles per hour in that little stretch there. Screenshot for screenshot. He wasn't able to do that. He only lost 1 mile per hour instead of 7 miles per hour. So think about the difference there of what's going on with the braking force, okay? So braking distance and braking force are logarithmic functions. We'll get into the equations later. It's not just a direct linear, so you actually take much longer to stop if your brake force is cut in half. It doesn't just take 50% or double longer to stop if your brake force is cut in half. It takes even longer than that, okay? So these are all the day before, all the footage all the way through. A lot of people say when you crest the hill, there's no way the car can continue to pull those kind of lateral Gs. Here he is at the top of the hill, 1.2. Here he is coming over the top of the hill, 1.1. Again, this is a lap before. 1.1, coming over the top of the hill now. You can see this is the downhill slope at Laguna Seca. So now we're heading downhill. He's still pulling 1 point. Okay, now he's pulling 0.9 as he crested the hill. And he's back to pulling 1.0. And you can see by the dots, he's been there the whole time. And again, this is more footage of the wreck. The day before, or the lap before, I should say. So again, we're approaching again. I don't know how that one got out of order, but it did. But 1.0 back there. Okay, and then these are the ones of the wreck. Okay, this is the wreck. So notice the difference. 0.4, as he's coming up over the hill, the most he ever gets here is 0.6 to 0.7. And what in the world is going on here? So here's the 0.7 as he crests the hill. So the most braking force he got was as he crested the hill, which is counterintuitive. That's where he should be getting the least. Okay, so the car was interfering. And as he crests the hill, he's at 1.6. Or excuse me, 0.6, I should say. Now he's back to the point where before he was getting 1.3, 1.1. He's only getting 0.7. Okay, and again, he's only getting 0.7. And he's coming down the hill. On the other video, he's getting over 1 lateral G here of stopping. And he's already letting off his brakes in the other video to make the turn. Here, he knows he's toast. So in addition to this footage, the PDR footage also shows the ediff percentage lockout. And I told the kid, his footage, guys, is the smoking gun that we've been waiting for. I've talked to many, many people. The story's all the same. The car took away my brakes. I couldn't turn. There was such a bizarre situation. I just froze like a deer in headlights because all my senses said something drastically is wrong with the car. I thought that I'd lost my brake pressure. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't steer. I didn't know if my front wheels were unhooked, so I was scared to turn. Same thing kind of happened with the kid. He was kind of scared to turn. But the problem is, since the car didn't take off his speed, and again, was he going faster this other lap than the one before? Maybe by 1 or 2 miles per hour. But what have I been telling you guys for years? A good driver will systematically attack 1 or 2 miles per hour. And those of you saying, oh, he's just a kid, he's not a good driver. Guys, he has 50 hours at Laguna Seca logged. He races go-karts. Okay? He's a very in-tune driver. He owns a C4 Corvette. He's taken a C4 Corvette to Laguna Seca. That's a handful of a car. Old school car with old school suspension. The kid knows how to drive. Okay? He reminds me a lot of me. Okay? He knows how to drive. He knows what he's doing. He's really distraught because those of you slandering his name, I mean, there should be a lawsuit against all of you guys as a community, especially publications that say that the kid did something wrong. He didn't do anything wrong, guys. General Motors did something wrong. And the fact that you guys are not telling that truth based on this evidence, which any of you could have gotten off your ass. Keith Cornett, Justin Horsepower Obsessed, Brink of Speed, Rick Conti, and many, many more. GM Authority, any of you could have gotten off your ass and contacted this kid like I did, but instead, what do you all do? Oh, yeah, he was coming in too hot. That's a shame. Oh, yeah, you see, yeah, he was definitely going too fast. I'm an expert, aren't I, Justin Horsepower Obsessed? I'm an expert, aren't I, Keith Cornett? Oh, yeah, not even worth talking about when GM's car takes away the fucking brakes and almost fucking kills a kid. You fucking pieces of shit. So these guys are not journalists. They're General Motors, puppet, promotion, Valley Girl, Barbie-minded pieces of fucking shit who don't give a fuck if we die, who want to smear me into the ground and say that I'm lying about this shit. And that's why I've got hundreds and hundreds of people in the Vet Titans group, hundreds and hundreds of subscribers, people that has all happened to firsthand, while the rest of you thousands and tens of thousands of lying piece of ignorant shit people get in my face on a daily fucking basis in all the groups. Oh yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, it's called getting mad because we're in a car that can kill us. And we've got a whole fucking vet community who wants to parrot the GM puppets like Deb Lowe and Justin Horsepower Obsessed and all these other fucking puppets who want to sit there and say, the car's perfect. The GM engineers know more than you, Brandon. Yeah, right. One of the GM engineers is fried. He got third-degree burns across his entire body. 75% of his body and his eyeballs got melted, and he's blind for the rest of his life. That GM engineer does know a little bit better than me how bad the cars are. I'll give you that. But the rest of the GM engineers, they don't seem to have a clue, do they? They don't want to perpetuate the lie because guess what? General Motors fires them if they tell the truth. They lose their fucking livelihood if they tell the truth. You think I'm playing? You think I'm playing when I say a Tremec employee got fired for trying to explain and whistleblow on what was going on with the DCT transmissions that can get us killed? You think this is all a fucking joke? What do you think, Keith Cornett? You think this is a joke? Keith Cornett's the reason why the Tremec employee got fired, guys, by the way. So those of you are like, why do you keep bringing up Keith Cornett? He got the fucking Tremec employee fired. I confided in Keith Cornett, confidential information, and he got the fucking Tremec employee fired. This community is trash. There are going to be lawsuits soon. This is just the tip of the fucking iceberg. Once we get into the ediff program, which I've already got all the footage, so go ahead and kill the kid, General Motors. It's not going to do you any good. Obviously, I don't suggest you kill the kid. I suggest you leave the kid alone. And getting the kid, trying to get him to settle with you, he's not going to do that either. He wants to make sure that other people, he realizes the severity of the situation. I explained to him this is a problem that has been plaguing all of us, that we've been waiting on a smoking gun evidence situation. This is a smoking gun evidence situation. It took away his brakes going up a fucking hill. There is no logical reason why a car should take away fucking brakes going up a hill, General Motors. The same speed it was going the lap before with a person who's driven the fucking racetrack for 50 hours and races go-karts and has a C4 Corvette. Guys, this is the tip of the iceberg. If this video doesn't go viral, you're not a Corvette fan. It's that simple. If you guys are not interested in sharing this with your fellow C8 owners and saying, okay, wait a second, this is serious. That C8 at Laguna Seca, and for those of you who don't know, and you're like, what's this guy talking about right now? Let's talk about what we're talking about. Let's show you here what we're talking about. Just type in C8 white crash. Let's see what we have here. Boom! Everybody thought he was dead. The kid wants to be an F1 driver, so he exercises his neck and he exercises his triceps and his biceps, so he's got big arms and that. And he says other people who that's happened to, they broke their back in that same spot. They've broken their back. Oh, what the hell? Sorry. Boom! Up in the air. That's what we're talking about, guys. So when we say cresting the hill, that was the hill right back there. And right where the footage cuts off is right there, right before you go straight into the wall. And General Motors' PDR system isn't showing us the footage. Isn't that a convenient coincidence, Taj, Tony Roma, Mark Royce, Mary Bear? Isn't that convenient how your PDR system doesn't record the last few seconds before a wreck? Do you think that's not a fucking lawsuit? You don't want it logged because you knew your cars had a problem. You knew they were going to be locking ediffs and you didn't want the evidence to be submitted in court. Unfortunately for you, your car fucked up for not just the couple seconds before the wreck, it fucked up for about 5 seconds before the wreck. So we've still got it. This is what we were waiting for, guys. And I've heard it time and time again where people said they were recording and they said, but for some reason, when they really lost control of the car, the PDR stopped recording and it's not there. And I always told people, guys, I'm on your team. You don't have to be embarrassed. Just show me the footage. What do they say? Brendan, I don't have the footage. It's happened time and time and time again. I don't have the footage. I don't have the footage. This kid swears up and down he doesn't have the footage. Guess what? Based on the other people who've all told me the same thing, I believe him. General Motors cars are rigged not to record after when the airbags go off. They don't record the last few seconds. General Motors could easily install a little auxiliary battery right there next to the black box in the infotainment system to keep the whole thing charged and running so that it can log and save. They don't have it. See ya.